Hi class, I'm Matt Dorsey and I'm a martial arts instructor, Ishinru Karate in Rochester, New York. I've been teaching for a long time and today's session, is going to be on improving your kicking techniques. Now, most martial arts styles have lots of different types of kicks and we're going to cover a few of them today. My style, Ishinru Karate, is from Okinawa and known for snappy kicks, fast kicks, not necessarily the high kicks or dramatic ones, but effective ones. And that's really what I want to work with you on today. When we start today, I want you to make sure you're warmed up, that your muscles are stretched out a little bit. We're not going to spend the time doing it, but it's not good to kick so fast or strong if you're not warmed up. So make sure you're well warmed up, or at least do the exercises slowly so you don't hurt yourself or pull any muscles. So what I want to work on is 3 techniques today, and we're going to start with the front kick. The front snap kick is the predominant one we use in most Okinawan karate styles. We do use the thrusting kick as well, and we'll talk a little bit about the difference between those two. But when you're doing a kata, when you're doing kicks up and down the floor, it tends to be more of a snapping kick, so the front snap kick. We know that we should be hitting, making contact using the ball of the foot. And so we know that what the foot position should be. But you know what? A lot of people don't get it right. Even experienced black belts sometimes do a kick where their foot is twisted up instead of pulled back properly with the ball of the foot. So one of the ways I work with my students is by sitting on the floor and getting that foot position right. It might seem simple, but it's important to get that foot position right. So I'm going to angle the camera a little bit so you can see me as I'm sitting down on the floor. We'll see if we can get a good view of that foot position. All right, so I'm down on the floor here, and I'm just going to have one leg so you can see it, and stick it right out here. Now, this flexed back position would be great for kicking with the heel, or a back kick maybe, or a stomp kick, something like that. But for a front kick, we really want to be this way with the toes extended, but the foot straight down all the way till you get to the toes. That's where you want to get the ball of the foot extended out. Now, to practice this, if you sit and you point your toes down all the way like this, so your whole foot is straight all the way down, from the hip all the way down to the tip of the toes. Now, the only thing you pull back is your toes. Now, for you experienced martial artists, you probably remember the first time you tried to do that, you couldn't get it right, you pulled your whole foot back. Well, that's using the ankle. Let's not use the ankle. The ankle doesn't move on this, it's the ball of the foot. So that's the part that makes contact. Now, we will use the ankle a little bit later, but we want to make sure that we can get to this end position. When you're making contact on a bag or breaking a board or even sparring, you want to use the ball of the foot, so that you're hitting with a strong but small area. So even just sitting here, toes down, toes up, toes down, toes up, and paying attention that you're not doing this, that you're not rolling your ankle back. So in class, I'll have the students do it with both legs. Toes down, toes up, toes down, toes up. And just learning how to flex them, training your muscles and your nervous system to just pull up those toes, that takes a little practice. Again, no ankles. You can see the difference there, just the toes. Then maybe toes down on one foot, toes up on the other, just to get some coordination and to build up those nervous connections, the nerves connections, so that we can get our feet and toes to do what we want them to do. So that's the ball of the foot. So when we hit a target, we should be hitting with the ball of the foot extended. So kicking on a bag, it makes it pretty easy to use the ball of the foot, because you can see exactly that the ball of foot is extended out there. So my heel's not touching. You don't want the heel flat on the bag. You want the heel away and the toes hitting it like this. That should be the position when your foot is making contact on the bag. So if you do it the other way, if the ankle is pulled up, you end up getting this, a scraping type of hit. And we've all done that before. In sparring, it's painful because if you do that scraping up motion against somebody who's got a guard, where does your foot hit? Yeah, it hits the elbow. And that can be pretty painful. So pushing the kick in is really our emphasis in using the ball of the foot. So it shouldn't be an upward movement, it should be an inward movement. I often think that a front kick should be thought of as a punch with your foot. Just like how a punch goes in straight, a front kick should go in straight. It shouldn't be rising up. Now it is coming from a lower area to go to a higher area, so there's a bit of a rise to it, but here's some ways to help with that so that your power goes straight in. First thing is when you chamber your kick, if we chamber it with our knee up straight this way, now just by hinging, let me grab a chair so I can stand here with balance, just by hinging at the knee, and if you kick forward, it's only going to be a circular motion to get there. So that's going to still have an upward element to it. It's not really inward. It's still kind of scraping up. If your knee comes up higher and then your foot goes in, well, that's more of a thrusting type of front kicks, and it does have an element of thrust to it, but you can get the snap as well. But what I like to teach is that at the beginning of the kick, instead of just raising the knee and your foot is still hanging out here, is the first part of the motion should be heel coming up to your butt as the knee is coming forward. So you're doing this. Now this does a couple of things. It starts getting the foot up higher. So instead of swinging up from the ground, it's already a little higher off the ground. Secondly, by bending your knee in this way, it compresses it. So what happens when something's compressed? Well, it wants to extend, so it helps with the extension. Now, the knee doesn't stop moving when it's here. The knee still continues up higher, and then the kick goes out in a straight line. But with that bend up of the knee first, you'll see that the kick tends to go in straighter. It's an up and inward motion. So it's this first, and then in. Give it a try a few times. Wherever you're standing, do this. Do this. Do this. Good. So your knee is still moving forward. We're not bringing it back to do it. We're not trying to wind up. That loses time, puts you off balance. Not a good thing. But it's the knee still going forward. So we're still going in the right direction, but we're compressing the lower part of the leg. After you do that a few times, now when your front kick, be careful, because you're going to extend it faster and stronger than you've done before. You might even hyperextend it, so be careful. So the leg comes up, and the snap, and the kick goes in straighter. So it's still an inward kick. The ankle might start flat, but now the ankle rotates on the way out so you can get to the ball of the foot. If you start with the foot down, you're still getting an upward scrape. But if you start with it flat and then push it in with the ankle rotating, the ball of the foot goes in straighter. So try it a few times with a snap kick, going straight in, front snap kick that way. Watch the difference. If I go up and raise up my kick, you can see it's an upward motion. Now try to go in. Different feel, different look with the ball of the foot going that way. So hitting a bag is a good way to do that. Doing it in the air is good too. Hitting a bag, to get this feel of a snap kick on the bag, you do a few kicks in front of the bag with that snapping motion. Heel coming up, inward push. Now the exact same kick here. What happens when a lot of people hit the bag is they change their kick. They're doing a kata, and then they kick and they snap it like this. And then when they have to hit a bag, they thrust it in like this. Well, those are two different kinds of kicks. But why not make the kick that you do in your kata the same as the kick you do hitting the bag? That's what we want to try to do, is that it's going in, it's hitting on a straight line. It's again like a punch. Now here's a little thing that I put together for my students to help them learn how to do this properly. So I cut up a noodle and I made a square and tied it around the bag with a rope, so that now when I kick the bag, I have to go in a straight line. Because if I don't, I'm going to hit on one side or the top or bottom of the bag, of the noodles. So I kick, and I can go straight into the middle. Straight line that way. So you can see that it helps me avoid that rising up type of kick that could easily happen. So front kick was probably the first kick you were ever taught. And you've been doing it one way for a long time. Now maybe you know these principles and that's great, or maybe I explained it in just a little different way, or maybe it's a new idea for you. But either way, take what I'm showing you and try it, and you'll find that you'll be able to do that kind of same snap kick, whether you're hitting a bag, doing your kata, breaking a board, sparring an opponent. It doesn't matter, your kick's going to go straight in. So even if you're an experienced martial artist, you can improve your front kick. All right, let's go on. Next kick, side kick. We're going to start on the floor again. All right, and this time I'm going to face towards you. And we know that for a side kick, you should chamber the leg in. So remember, it's using the knee to push straight out. So you can join me by sitting on the floor, bend your knee up and into your chest, and then push it out on a straight line. Into the chest, out on a straight line. And your foot's in the blade position with your heel extended and your foot on an angle. From the side, your knee comes up to the front of the chest. Don't pull it back. That's a different kick, which we'll get to. But here, we have our foot in the blade position, and we're pushing it out in a straight line. Now, this is a thrusting motion because your hip and your knee and your foot are on the same line, and you're pushing it out straight. Great move, great kick to use, a thrusting side kick. In Okinawan karate, we also use a snapping side kick, and that's where your foot starts at your other knee and angles out with a rotation of the hip and a twist of the knee and the foot so that it snaps out in that motion. But either way, it's still going inward. Try to avoid a swinging up type of motion, but get that forward pushing in motion. That's what we're looking for. The contact point, if you're breaking a board, should be on the edge of the heel. We often say hit with the blade of your foot. Well, that's good, but we don't want to hit with the blade up near the toes. We don't want to hit with that edge. We want it to be further down at the heel. So it's the smallest area that you can use to deliver that power into a small point. That gives you the most force for breaking boards. It's very effective for sparring and self-defense as well. So practicing your side kick in a standing position, again, helpful to have a chair. So you can do it slow. For the thrusting side kick, you bring your knee up and your foot and knee pulled in and tight chamber this way. Then push it out on a straight line. Your hips already turned over. It's in a thrust position. Your standing foot is pivoted away from the direction of the kick. Up, turn the hip, push out, straight line using your heel. So driving it in with a thrusting kick, great move to do, and practicing on the chair, but by doing them slow, you'll develop more strength and good form. Hitting a bag, you get that chamber position, thrust it in a straight line, pull it back, be in balance, give it a good hit, and be chambered and ready to go. If you want to do the snapping kick, if your style calls for a snapping kick, or you want a kick that doesn't commit as much as a thrusting kick does, then that's where the snapping kick comes in. So the foot is here towards your other knee. Now, the hip will turn and push in, and the foot hinges at the knee, that lower leg hinges to go out in that kind of an action. So it's still a turn of the hips, maybe not quite as much of a pivot on the standing foot, but the kick still goes out straight and pulls back in. It does start from here, but as it's going out, it raises up, and then it pushes in at the last part of the kick. So a snapping kick can still be a good, strong kick going in a straight line. Try to avoid this. I see sometimes people doing a snapping kick, and it rises. It's very hard to get anything into that. Now, all kicks take some flexibility. So, of course, continue to work on your flexibility. But if the flexibility isn't enough to do a good kick up high, it's better to do a good kick low than to do a poor kick high. All right? So work your flexibility, but work on the form. So even if you're doing a snap kick lower, it should still be an inward motion with that you're pushing in at the target, and that it's not swinging around in a circle. If your chamber is incorrect, if your knee is forward, well, your leg will swing around to get there. Well, we don't want that. Again, it's a different kick. But if your chamber is this way, heel, hip, target in a straight line, now you've got it. Snapping kick starts from here, but still has that same straight line motion into the target and back. So I think side kick's one of the hardest kicks to do, and it probably will take the most practice on your part to improve it. All right, we're going to move on. Next one, roundhouse kick. Roundhouse kick is a great kick for sparring, for hitting the bag, for even breaking boards, sometimes using the ball of the foot. I've seen people use the top of their foot without a pad. That takes a lot of conditioning to be able to do that. But roundhouse kick is a great technique to use. So where are we going to start? On the floor, just like before. And I chamber my knee up. Now my knee is pointed straight forward. On a side kick, it was in. On a round kick, it's open. And my foot is back, so that now the kick hinges in this way. It goes in just like this kind of motion. Good. If you start your knee back a little further, you're getting a good stretch, and you can move your knee in with the kick too. So you're stretching and strengthening at the same time. From the side, knee pulled back. Not that inward position that we did for the side kick, but back so that your kick can go out like this. That's the movement for the roundhouse kick. Okay? Now, doing it on a chair, another good way to do it, holding your balance, strengthening your muscles, doing some repetitions of your kick. So chambering up and extending, 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 working on your kick and doing 10 reps, 20 reps, and then doing the same on the other side. You're building up those muscles. I also like to do this when I chamber up for a roundhouse kick. I'll grab my lower leg and I'll stretch it back. So I'm getting that outward pull as well to stretch that hip area that sometimes is pretty tight. All right, now for making contact on things, hitting a bag gives you the feeling of getting some power and some force behind what you're doing. So we're going to talk about two types of roundhouse kicks. And we'll right now focus on the front leg roundhouse kick. So if I was in a sparring stance and I want to kick with my front leg, I step up and kick that way. Of course, back leg round kick is very powerful and useful in many situations. But let's talk about front leg. In sparring, my emphasis is on speed. So I want to get there as quickly as I can. I should still chamber because I want the foot to come from the right position, but I don't need as much hip action. It's more foot action. So when I slide up, the leg will chamber up and get a fast snap. The emphasis again is on speed. My back foot comes up, either a stepping up or a hopping up motion, and a fast kick. Think of the timing between your step and your kick. You want to have as less time as possible, as small amount of time as possible, so that you're not doing step, kick, too much time, especially in sparring. But almost simultaneous. 1, 2. Taekwondo stylists, super fast on that front leg round kick, and they can make it quite powerful as well. But what really makes a round kick strong is not just using the leg, but using your hip. So in this case, we're going to talk about a power round kick with the front leg. And instead of just chambering up right to that sideways position, I'm going to chamber it with my knee straight up and down. So I'm going to pick up my knee straight first, and then turn my hip to get the power, and turn my hip and my leg to get my body behind the kick. So it's not just the leg muscles, but it's my body as well. So it's knee up, turn. And that's going to give you that extra hip action that gets more force behind the kick. It's a little slower, can't help that, but it's very powerful. So you're making up for it in that respect. So it's still a step up, a quick movement, and then knee up straight, and then turn the hip at the end of the kick. So you can see there's a different emphasis. A sparring kick, a competition or a sparring match, quick, fast, snappy, don't worry about the power. You want to use it for self-defense, you want to use it to break a board, something like that, hit a bag, then turning the hips. Very important. Knee up straight, then turn to get that power into that roundhouse kick. So we covered front kick, we covered side kick, and round kick. I hope you practiced along with me and you were thinking about these concepts and maybe doing them as I was showing them to you. And you'll find that at your next class, at your own school, you'll probably be thinking about, oh, how can I make that front kick better? Maybe the next time you do a kata, you'll say, oh, I can make my front kicks better in that kata. Or you're sparring and you say, how do I use my round kick to be more effective? These 3 basic kicks, done well, are a great tool for your martial arts toolbox. And anytime you learn a tool, the better you learn how to use it, the more effective it can be, the more situations you can use it in. So a little bit of analyzation of your techniques can be very good. I hope that this session was helpful for you and that you enjoyed working it. You got some good practice on those kicks, and keep up the great work. Hey, I'm so proud that you're part of the Super Summers virtual seminars this year. Being a part of this helps keep the tradition going for the future. And I'm hoping that we can be back in a live seminar weekend next year. It's one of my favorite activities. I just love coming to it. I've made so many great friends through the martial arts, and every year I meet new ones at Super Summers as well. Friendships I've had for over 30 years. So I hope that if you're an alumni of the Super Summers, that you had a great seminar weekend today or this weekend with the seminars you're taking. And if you're new to Super Summers, welcome. And I hope that next time we get to meet in person. All right, thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day.